Representative Olson.
I move the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Division report for House File 9.
Okay, the motion is before us. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion
No.
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 carried. I was taking advice from the former tax chair, tax lead, I was about to say.
Soon to be texture.
Okay, so Representative Olson.
I move that House File 9, as amended, be recommended to be placed on the general register.
Okay, the motion is before us, and we do have an amendment. Representative, I think we'll get it in the order that, with the amendment, so it'll be in good order when we present it. Representative Olson.
I move the A24 amendment.
Okay, the motion is before us, and Representative Richardson, would you care to explain the amendment?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the A24 amendment would get the bill in substantially the same pattern that it was passed off the House floor last year.
Any further discussion and on the amendment? Get it in the order that the author would like. All those in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No? No. Okay, motion carried. I take advice.
You're out of your rhythm.
That's right. Okay, if you could explain the bill. Oh, wait, we've got the technical amendment, that's right. Yeah, that we had advice from the reviser, so we've got another technical amendment here. And maybe we can just explain the technical part of it, Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Chair and members, the A20-0628 amendment is similar to the amendments the committee considered on and adopted on Monday that were necessary due to the fact that one of the statutes in the bill was amended last session. So in order to amend the current version of that language, this amendment would insert the 2019 supplement version of section 624.713 subdivision 1.
And this one comes, members, from the reviser's office, and so the chair will move the amendment. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No. Opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Okay, now we'll explain the bill.
Thank you, Chair. House File 9 is a proposal to help keep guns out of the hands of people who are at risk of harming themselves or pose a danger to others. The bill would create a process by where law enforcement or a city or county attorney can petition the court to have an individual's right to possess a firearm withheld for a temporary period. I have a few high-level comments related to the costs anticipated with the implementation of the bill based upon the fiscal note review. Overall, there would be a fiscal impact from the general fund of $231,000 for fiscal year 21 and $248,000 in fiscal years 22 and 23. Quick breakdown, filing fees would be waived for both petitioning law enforcement agencies, city and county attorneys, and also for respondents as well. There are some anticipated court costs. The costs related to creating the necessary forms has been absorbed. There's some configuration costs that have been anticipated on the judicial branch case management system, and those costs are also expected to be absorbed by state court administration. In regards to new case filings, the fiscal note relied on using comparable data on domestic abuse cases, and based on the estimates project that one additional FTE would be required for statewide implementation, and that would be at a cost of $43,000 in fiscal year 21 and $86,000 for fiscal years 22 and 23. There are some minimal costs anticipated with the post board related to creating best practices and recommendations and on the storage of firearms, and those costs would be absorbed by the post board. There's a grant program that is anticipated that public safety would administer for capital resources that may be needed for storage for local agencies, and that bill would appropriate $100,000 to public safety for that purpose. Finally, there were some costs related with modifying the query records that law enforcement uses to determine if an individual is disqualified from having a firearm, and that would be at a cost of about $187,000. The work to add the criminal offenses to statute services would be absorbed, and there'd be ongoing maintenance for functionality at $37,500 annually.
Okay, any discussion? Representative Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Richardson, I know you probably don't have a copy of this letter before you. I received this from a former constituent that now lives in Roseau, but she contacted me, and I got this email late today. And she's a woman that survived abuse, and later her abuser went on to commit even worse crimes that are spoken of in this letter. But I want to draw members' attention to the paragraph on the bottom of the first page, and starting with the second sentence. Well, I'll start at the first. So I urge you to stop this madness and do not create any new gun laws. They will only limit my ability to own a gun and only hurt law-abiding citizens. As you know, many women like myself suffer from PTSD, depression, and anxiety because they've been abused. I fear that if you pass the universal background check law, and then I will no longer be able to own a gun. Furthermore, red flag laws are just constitutionally wrong. So I think one of her concerns is that because she's suffered from some mental issues and probably is on antidepressants or something, that through a law like the red flag law that could prohibit her from having a firearm. And so I don't think that that is a good strategy or is in the best interest of public safety when someone has a firearm to be able to defend themselves, and especially someone that has this past history and feels very vulnerable, and the firearm allows them to have some sense of security. And so that is one of the reasons that I can't support your bill this evening. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Representative Skowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the bill, Representative Richardson. You know, I noticed and I listened to your discussion. I've never seen this before. We're waiving filing fees for this bill. We're waiving the need for them to make application within the legal process. You're greasing the skids to put people into this program. I haven't seen this before. The Democrats in Minnesota are so gun-ho to take our guns that they're going to grease the skids in this bill to get people into this program. Mr. Chair, Representative Richardson, what do we do? You've got a section in the amendment that talks about liability protection for harm following service of an order of execution of a search warrant. So what it's saying is that basically the government isn't liable for damage that the police do when they break down the door and they engage a person and attempt to take away their firearm. Where is the liability protection for the police officer? Because we're going to eventually lose a police officer from these bills. We know what happened in Maryland when a guy died when they broke the door down. We're sending police officers into a situation where we're going to take a firearm away from a law-abiding citizen who may be very, very protective of their Second Amendment rights. You've got government causing a conflict. Government is going to cause damage with this bill. Government is going to hurt people with this bill. There very likely, in the long term, will be people killed by this bill. So what do you have to say to that, Representative Richardson?
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My response to that would be to look at the research that has been made available on red flag laws. Red flag laws go back 20 years in the United States. The first red flag bill was passed in 1999 in Connecticut. And between 1999 and 2013, there were 762 orders enacted in Connecticut that didn't have a similar result of what you talked about that happened in Maryland. I would also point to the fact that there have been a lot of lessons learned, as we now, I believe, have 18 states that have adopted red flag laws. And some of the really important, I think, best practices have come from cities like San Diego, who over a year period had 189 orders. And of those 189 orders, 188 of those, they worked directly with the individuals in a way that didn't involve breaking down a door in order to work with them in the enforcement of an order. And so my response would be that in terms of thinking about how law enforcement is responding, there are ways of de-escalating conflict that don't necessarily involve breaking down a door in the middle of the night.
Thank you,
Representative
Mr.
Carlson.
Chair. Thank you, Representative Richardson. Well, you know, out of the example you used, one door got broke down, it sounds like. We know that one person got killed in Maryland. If we are bringing forward a bill that we knowingly expect is going to cause a confrontation, that someone could get hurt or killed, I don't think we're being responsible as a legislature. Members, I encourage a no vote on this bill. I think it's irresponsible for us to do this to the people of Minnesota and to the fine law enforcement people who are out there working to do their job each day.
Representative Gruffalo.
Mr. Chairman and members, as with House File 8 before this, House File 9 is an attack on individual freedom and personal liberty. It is unfortunate that, again, at a time when we see greater concern about individual freedoms and personal liberties, that we are seeing a major party that is so committed to taking away our constitutional rights. In this case, what it does is it makes the lawful gun owner, it puts them in a position of being a presumption of guilt. That's wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. The reality is that when it comes to the matters of our Second Amendment, the concerns that you're seeing expressed by so many people are absolutely justified. The fear that many of us have about government coming for our guns are justified. And it's justified in the rhetoric we see of the political left. It's justified in the candidates that are coming forward. And it's justified by the bills that are being advanced in the legislative process. I would hope that this chamber lacks the votes to pass this bill. I'm confident that it will not become law with the help of the Senate blocking this and defending our Second Amendment rights. But I'm also very optimistic about the future. Regardless of how the November elections happen, I don't see any scenario where a majority of members of both the House and the Senate will stand and take away individual rights, our Second Amendment rights. We see this as now the advancement of this bill. We're seeing a pushback now from our local communities where 3 counties, or maybe even 4 counties, have now passed sanctuary resolutions for their counties. From a political perspective, I love it when the DFL talks about gun control. I absolutely love it. For 30 years plus, whenever you guys bring forward gun control, you get absolutely wiped out at the ballot box in November. I love it. But as an individual citizen, I am concerned that a major party continues to attack my individual freedoms. I would ask members to vote no.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
I heard a voice. Oh.
I would request a
Albright.
roll call vote.
Roll call has been requested. Gosh, and I don't get to do my my slower approach to calling for the no votes. I just announced the total.
All right.
Okay, are we ready?
All right.
Yeah, we should have the motion to renew your motion first.
I'll renew my motion that House File 9 as amended be recommended to be placed on the general register.
Okay, that motion is before us. Any further discussion? If not, the clerk will take the roll.
Representative Carlson,
Aye.
Representative Olson,
Yes.
Representative Garofalo. Representative Albright,
No.
Representative Bernardi,
Aye.
Representative Davids,
No.
Representative Davney,
Aye.
Representative Jaskowski,
No.
Representative Eklund,
No.
Representative Hamilton,
No.
Representative Hansen,
Yes.
Representative Hausman,
Yes.
Representative Hertaus, Representative Hornstein,
Yes.
Representative Kresha,
No.
Representative Liebling,
Yes.
Representative Lilly,
Yes.
Representative Long,
Yes.
Representative Mariani,
Yes.
Representative Markwart,
No.
Representative Nelson,
Yes.
Representative Noor,
Yes.
Representative Pulowski,
Yes.
Representative Hoppy,
Yes.
Representative Schumacher,
No.
Representative Scott,
No, you told me.
Representative Torkelson,
No.
Representative Vogel,
No.
Representative Wagenius.
Yes.
Okay, the vote, the motion passes 16 to 13.